as many of you would know, on Melbourne Cup Day, while many of us were watching a horse race, Premier Baird and Prime Minister Abbott were over in St Peters announcing stage 2 of Westconnex. Now, this is a local issue that's going to be of great importance to all of us. We're very fortunate today that we have 3 people who are following this issue, who are engaged in this issue, and who are going to be able to provide us with some information about that. So let me introduce them. It's first we have Gavin Gatenby over here. Gavin is the co-convener of Eco Transit, a public transport advocacy group. We have Penny Sharp just here. Penny's the Shadow Minister for Transport. She's also a member of the Legislative Council, and she is Labor's candidate for Newtown in the March election, state election next year. Newtown, of course, being the recently created seat. And we also are very lucky to have Jenny Leong, who is the Greens candidate for Newtown. Jenny has previously worked with Amnesty International in Australia and also abroad. Tonight's forum will be structured like this. We're going to hear some of the context and some of the background about Westconnex, which is a motorway project which is largely in 3 stages. The first of those stages involves a widening of the M4 and connection of the M4 to City Westlink. Stage 2 has been announced, which is 2 road tunnels from Beverly Hills underground right through to St Peters, coming up there. And stage 3 is a connection of that exit there, or from St Peters across town to Haberfield to the M4 just there. So we're lucky to know what we're going to hear from Gavin. Gavin's going to give us a little bit of the context first with a presentation about Westconnex, what it has been, what it's looking like now. We're then going to hear from Jenny, and then we'll hear from Penny. Then we'll be able to have an opportunity for some questions. And then hopefully there's some time to come back and to look. We want to look at some of the things that Gavin's been putting together about possible alternatives. What we'd like to do is, I know that we've all got, we're all very busy. We're looking at finishing at around about 7:30. And if we're here at 8 o'clock, then well, we're not going to be here much longer. That's the hard finish at 8 o'clock. So without anything further, please make Gavin Gatenby feel welcome.
Thank you. I got here tonight also, my co-convener Matt Hounsell has been following these issues very closely, in fact more closely than I have in terms of Westconnex, and so he might be there to assist me if I get into any trouble. And it's easy to get into trouble here because Westconnex is an extraordinary work in progress. First announced 2.5 years ago. This thing has grown, sprawled, changed and morphed in all sorts of different directions. So I'll try to give you a sense of that. But before I do, a bit of breaking news is that the Herald has already got their story for tomorrow morning up on their website. Damning report into Westconnex motorway released by the New South Wales Auditor General. And this is, in fact, it could have been much worse for them. But in fact it's an extraordinarily damning report about the fact that really this thing has never been independently reviewed. In fact, they say the only independent review of the business case for the 14 billion Westconnex motorway, the biggest transport initiative in Australia, concluded it was not able to form a view as to whether the project is a worthwhile and prudent investment for the New South Wales government. And that noted that not all the key benefits nor all the key risks were adequately documented, and that the business case would benefit from these and other inclusions. You see, they're being very kind. And using a traffic light rating system, 6 aspects of the project were listed as red or urgently needing addressing. The review did not greenlight any aspect of the project. Now, what's the thing, and what's the bad government got in for us? This is really it's an attempt to kickstart a radial motorway scheme that first saw the light of day in 1945. By the time this document came out in 1974, it was already regarded as very much out of date. In fact, the problem was that by then, the evidence was in from the United States, where they started building these things right at the end of World War II, and the evidence was shocking about radial freeways. In this document here, they proposed something like over 500 kilometres of 4, 6 and 8 lane motorways for Sydney. But in '74, something terrible happened to the motorway program, and that was at a place called Fig Street, which is on the boundary between Pyrmont and Ultimo. The locals rose up angry and swarmed the bulldozers and closed the project down. And Labor, soon-to-be Premier, Neville Rand, came along. It was a riot. You know, it was a riot. It was extraordinary. And perhaps right at the end we might have time to have a look at some of the original footage of that event. But Neville Rand came along to the riot and said that if they were elected, Labor was elected into office, they would just wipe the whole inner city motorway program. And in fact, he came to power 15 months later. 2 seats and 200 votes decided the election, and he then sold off all the land for the inner city motorways that the DMR had been acquiring. And there's more to the story than that, but we need not go further at this stage. This is how we first saw Westconnex. These were the initial plans, and as you can see, it's in 3 stages. And this bit out here they've sort of approved, and well, they haven't even approved it, haven't approved the environmental impact statement, but they've let a contract for it. Seems to be the case. This widening out here down to Strathfield. Then there was going to be a tunnel from Strathfield, just a little bit west of Strathfield, right through here to the City West Link, and then a long tunnel going roughly underneath Parramatta Road, and then doing this elegant little curve down here to St Peters, and we're kind of course in here. And then it would go above ground from just south of Sydney Park, and it was then going to go back into tunnel underneath Cooks River, and then down to join the M5. And that's how they presented in a very slick, silly video. Now it's sort of changed. A few weeks back, a couple of months back, it suddenly sprouted this tunnel going from under Parramatta Road in Annandale here right through to White Bay, and ending up there on Victoria Road and of course the Anzac Bridge. And there'll be another off-ramp here onto Parramatta Road. And then it sprouted another one coming south into the old M6 corridor down here. Long tunnels. The Daily Telegraph since announced that the tunnel's going to extend right out here. Of this, we don't really know of all this what's actually true, because all this stuff about tunnels is subject to what the tenderers want to do. Now at the moment they're out there poking holes in the ground all over the place. There are 3 drilling rigs operating down at Kendrick Park on the edge of Cooks River. They've been right down, as you'll see in a minute, right down through Tempe, through the suburbs of Tempe. Drilling holes in the ground, trying to get geological information to hand over to potential tenderers. And when they're asked now, the people from the Westconnex Delivery Authority say, where's it going exactly? Where will the stacks be? The off-ramps? Well, we don't know actually. It's going to be up to the successful tenderer. Okay, so this is what it's come to. This is from the 2012 Long-Term Transport Master Plan, and again you'll see here that they've now got all sorts of little bits in here, like this apparently expanded motorway out to Port Botany. There's suddenly another route here crossing from Balmain over to North Sydney and then heading up towards the northern beaches. And down here you've got all sorts of widened, expanded motorway bits added through Sutherland. Just putting this together as to where it apparently is at now. They've abandoned this elegant curve through here, underground, right? So the motorway would be expanded, the existing motorway out through here. Orange, these red ones are existing freeways or motorways, or tollways. The yellow stuff is Westconnex, and this bit up here is another new addition. And that one down there. So, in the latest iteration of this thing, instead of it going underground underneath sort of Newtown, Marrickville, Summerhill, it would now just plug into the City West Link, come up here to White Bay, Roselle Bay, and from the south, another tunnel from, this is out about Bexley North, coming around here under the Cooks River, and then up through Tempe, where there's a huge interchange in the old brick pits down south of Sydney Park, and then basically under the line of King Street, Newtown, and then straight up underneath the Parramatta Road, underneath Annandale, up to here. This would be, if it was ever built, the biggest underground motorway system in the world. Right? Yeah. Horrendously expensive. Duncan Gay saying 6 lanes wide and over 5 metres high to accommodate new generations of trucks and all this sort of stuff that's going to emerge. And they've now added all this stuff in here, which is apparently a widening of the existing motorway out to Port Botany and widening of the roads around the back of the airport. And here you see that bit that goes off down to Rockdale and goes over down here down to Sutherland. And this is the new one that's just come in. They've just announced that they're going to have another harbour tunnel, car tunnel, and that's going to go from approximately White Bay, Roselle Bay here, under Balmain Peninsula, then under the harbour, up to North Sydney and on up to the northern beaches. They're making announcements at the moment like a drunken sailor in a port without a brothel, right? This is promises are flowing out. All extraordinarily expensive, and all of it would suck funding out of public transport. Parramatta Council can kiss goodbye if this happens to their otherwise excellent light rail plans. There just would not be the money for it. Money will also have to come out of the social budget, health, education, and so forth. And this is the bit that should concern people here most. That's the old brick pit down there. You've got here Barwon Park Road up beside Sydney Park, Euston Road, and this is the tunnel coming in here from under Newtown. It will apparently sprout another tunnel that comes off into here and then emerges under Campbell Road. A big interchange here in this area here, throwing traffic off onto Campbell Road, Campbell Street. Why did they change that? Euston Road, and down here into the central industrial area. And you can see that that's the off-ramp. This is all indicative only, of course, because it's going to depend on what the tenderer decides. So you won't know until there's been a successful tenderer for the project. And then there'll be an EIS when someone's successfully tendered for it. We're putting everything the wrong way around these days. This is what's happening now. This is These are drilling sites. There's actually another one up here in Sydney Park I've noticed. And they're spreading these drilling sites right down here. At the moment, they've got just... this is, of course, Prince's Highway. Just here in Kendrick Park, there are 3 drilling rigs operating a few metres apart from each other at the moment. At that point, the bedrock is 30 metres down. It's a drowned river valley, so they've got to go through 30 metres of sand. They've been working for days to try and find the bottom, because what they want to do then is kind of try and throw the thing right under. It's going to go under the railway as well there, and then underneath Mount Olympus down here, underneath Walleye Creek, the suburb, big tall high-rise buildings, and then somehow join up here with the current M5 tunnel. There have been another drilling site just down over here suggesting they're not really sure about where they're going. Where do the stacks go? Nobody knows. That's the existing stack, and it's in a valley, by the way. It's a kilometre from the existing M5 tunnel. So don't imagine for a second that an exhaust stack will be above wherever the tunnel's going to be. It could be a kilometre away, and they'll pick a park, an industrial area. They won't pick high ground necessarily. This one was put down here, they said, because I want to put it in an industrial area, which is 50 metres wide and 300 metres long.